Hey Nannies, it's Michelle from Nannies on Call, and I'm here again to give you tips and some education on being the best nanny in the industry. So today, something that keeps coming up recently is how to give notice and leave with grace and kindness and still get a good reference and have the family happy even though you're leaving them, which I know for most families means they're not happy with you. So today we're going to do 5 tips on how to give notice at your current position. Okay, so the first one actually goes back to references. So tip number 1, ask for a reference before you give notice. I know this seems a bit odd because sometimes when you're asking for a reference or I should specify a reference letter. When you're asking for a reference, it may seem like you're leaving, but you could say you're just putting your portfolio together and you want to make sure it's up to date. You could say that you're getting a babysitting job, a weekend job, another part-time job, whatever it is. You can say why you want the reference letter. So get a reference letter and don't do it like the week before you're giving notice. Maybe if you've been with a family for a while, that's the time to ask for a reference letter for your portfolio. Hard word, for your portfolio. So make sure you do that ahead of time. So tip number 2, make sure you're giving notice in person, okay? Don't do it by text, don't do it by email. That's not appropriate. You need to give the family the respect and yourself the respect of being a professional nanny. So ask for a time. You can do that by text or email. Just say, there's something I'd like to talk to you about. Is there a time that we can get together when the children are not around? You just want it to be you and the parents. Don't do it on a Monday morning when they're running out the door or a Friday when they're stressed. Make sure they know that you want to talk to them. Ask for a time to talk to them, set it up, and then you can give notice at that time. No surprises. Okay, tip number 3. Be as honest as possible. What we're seeing a lot these days is nannies just unfortunately lying when they leave. And I totally understand why you do that and why you would want to do that, because you're doing it to be kind, actually, in a lot of cases, and you're not wanting to bring up negativity when you're leaving. So you can still give parents feedback on why you're leaving if it's something not great. So for example, it would be, unfortunately, I need to give notice today. I found a position that has more childcare. It's more childcare focused, and that's where I feel my skills are best utilized. I didn't realize when I took this position on there would be so much housekeeping. So that would be an example of a nice way to say, hey, there's too much housekeeping and I'm not happy here, but still say what you need. I need a job that's more child focused, utilizing my skills. So try whatever the reason you're leaving is. Maybe it's for school, so you can explain that you're going back to school to upgrade your skills. There's lots of ways to do it, but try to be honest and not just give an excuse like a family member sick and you're taking care of them, which we hear all the time. Okay. Tip number 4, give a fair amount of notice and also check your contract. So generally in Canada, the notice period is 2 weeks. That's the professional amount of time to give. Sometimes in contracts, you'll see that you've agreed to a month's notice. So if you have agreed to your contract, you should give a month's notice because that's what you said you would do in the beginning. That said, if there's nothing in your contract over 2 weeks and you know, let's say now it's October, you know in December you're going to be leaving, don't give that much notice. The reason is that if you give 2 months notice and they're upset that you're leaving, then they may say, thanks, we don't need you anymore, pay you your 2 weeks and you're done. And they're allowed to do that. So you don't want to then be without a job for 2 months or a month and a half. So give 2 weeks notice, give a reasonable amount of notice, or whatever your contract states. Just make sure you do it properly and fairly. Okay. And the last tip, so tip number 5, is giving notice is uncomfortable. It's never a happy time. No matter if you have a good relationship with a family or it's ending poorly, it's uncomfortable. So just be prepared that the family may be upset when you give notice. They're upset because they have to start the process over again. They're upset probably because they love you and they don't want you to see you go. They're upset because their kids are connected with you and they don't know if they're going to find that again or find someone as good as you. So just be prepared for that and don't let the emotions sway you. If you've decided you're leaving, stick to that. apologize, tell them, you'll help transition to the new nanny, tell them you're happy to do whatever you can to help with the transition, but that you do need to move on. It's hard, we know, but in every industry, whether it's a nanny position, an office position, a daycare, people move on and they move into different roles so that they can grow and learn. And sometimes that has to be done. So it's okay to move to a new position. Just do it with kindness and respect and professionalism. So hopefully that helps. If anyone has any other tips or questions that we didn't cover, there's so many reasons to leave a job. So if you have a question specific to your situation, feel free to ask it below and check back next week for another video. See you soon.